The Swat Valley, the Switzerland of Pakistan, as those who live there call it. Forests, lakes, nestling at the foot of the Hindu Kush mountains. The region full of tourists until the turn of the century, when attacks by the Taliban began. Islamist groups, little by little, taking control of the province and imposing Sharia law. Women no longer able to go out alone in the street, men forced to wear a beard. The Taliban also banning education for girls, destroying nearly 200 schools. It took the Pakistani army 2 bloody attempts to reconquer the Swat Valley. Over 1 million people displaced by the fighting. But even now, the Taliban have not disappeared. They've continued to wage a campaign of targeted assassinations. The most well-known of their victims, the young girl Malala. In October 2012, when she was just 15 years old, the Taliban tried to kill her. Malala was, for them, a symbol. She wrote a blog and advocated education for girls. Seriously injured, she survived. Her speech at the UN resonating around the world.
Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights. On the 9th of October 2012, the Taliban shot me on the left side of my forehead. They shot my friends too. They thought that the bullet would silence us, but they failed. And out of that silence came thousands of voices. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died. Strength, power, and courage was born.
Becoming a world icon, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize just a few months later. Well, recently the government decided to allow unrestricted access for tourists again to the Swat Valley. But the military presence remains high. And for now, the number of tourists remains few at the foot of the Hindu Kush mountains. Taha Siddiqui and Jasmine Lavoie revisit the Swat Valley for France 24.
Pakistani soldiers closely guard the entry and exit points of the picturesque Swat Valley, checking the identity of all who want to get in.
Okay, everyone, we've arrived in the Swat Valley. There is a military checkpoint, so get your IDs out and give them to me.
Throughout the region, there is heavy military presence. The roads are dotted with checkpoints.
Okay, I'll keep everyone's ID. We can go now.
These 20 tourists are venturing into the valley known as the Switzerland of Pakistan for the first time. Huge snow-capped mountains, lakes and forests. Breathtaking scenery all along the route.
Where are you from?
I come from Punjab.
Is it as cold as here?
No, not at all.
Tucked high up in the mountains is the main attraction, a ski resort. Tourists have only recently started to frequent Swat. For a long time, they stayed away out of fear of the Taliban.
We are now at Mullah Fazlullah, a famous ski resort. Before the Taliban took over, it was one of the most popular tourist spots. Taliban destroyed the hotel here and the chairlift too. But the good news is that the authorities are now rebuilding the hotel, the chairlift is fixed, and we can ski here again.
Since it reopened, the ski resort has welcomed dozens of tourists each day. Nehaj is one of them. She's here with her family from Dubai and is seeing snow for the first time.
Come on, come towards me, sister. Do not engage with them. If you take bigger steps, it'll be easier.
Local tour operators are eager to cash in.
Do you want to try the tube ride?
Yes, let's go.
Why don't you try to put on skis first?
No, no thanks.
I really have no idea why would they come over and destroy such a beautiful place. But then it doesn't make sense. I don't know why. But यहाँ का ऐसा feel नहीं हो रहा कि this ever happened.
The tourists had stopped coming after the Taliban era. I never thought we would be able to rebuild this place. But thanks to the army, everything is getting back to normal.
Between 2007 and 2009, this valley was considered one of the most dangerous places on earth. It was controlled by the current chief of Pakistan's Taliban, Mullah Fazlullah. He escaped the army offensive but continues to have an influence in the region.
Since peace returned to the valley, a growing number of tourists have been coming here.
Express News, Lingawara, Swat.
Shirinzada does not leave his home without a bodyguard. He's one of the few who worked during the Taliban regime. Many of his colleagues fled. He lost his sister to a Taliban attack. They wanted him to stop reporting against the terrorist group.
This video of a woman being lashed in Swat during the Taliban era went viral. After it surfaced, the army launched an operation against the Taliban, a major military offensive. More than 2.5 million people fled Swat during the conflict.
Roads became symbols of terror, like this roundabout where the Taliban executed their enemies.
They used to leave stacks of dead bodies here to spread fear among the locals. It was a message to those who didn't obey the rules. They called it the Bloody Roundabout.
In 2009, Pakistani soldiers chased out the Taliban, and the army has been here ever since. By painting the national flag everywhere, the military wants to remind everyone of who is in charge. But for Shirinzada, the threat is not over. Now, the Taliban have a new strategy: targeted killings. In 2012, they attacked a school bus carrying young teenage girls. One of them was Malala Yousafzai.
This is where she was attacked. The attack scared many people. That's the main reason Malala hasn't come back. She knows her life is still at risk.
Living in exile, Malala went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. The Taliban have continued to attack other prominent activists in the valley. Ejaz's father headed a peace committee, which was formed by the military in an effort to encourage security monitoring in different neighborhoods post the operation. Last May, he was shot 14 times in broad daylight. He had forgotten to carry his gun that day.
My father died trying to maintain peace. We did not think he was in danger until he began receiving threatening calls from the Taliban, who escaped from here to Afghanistan. From then on, the authorities told him to always keep a gun.
Now, Ejaz's father's friends, who run their own peace committees, are armed wherever they go. Police say they are on the Taliban's hit list.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Please sit down. It's our responsibility to fight for peace, and you're doing a great job. We need to stay in touch.
Yes, we are identifying criminals, especially those involved in terrorism and drug business.
We understand that it's dangerous to delegate such powers to citizens. They collect information and transmit it to us. But this country belongs to everyone, and we need all the support we can get. Whether it's the military, the police, or these people on these peace committees, it's the responsibility of everybody to protect our nation.
Over the last 24 months, over 40 Defense Committee members have been killed. And the trend continues to intensify, forcing many to go into hiding.
Several people have escaped from Pakistan. Most go to Arab countries, the rich go to Europe. I want to leave too, but I don't have enough money.
But the Taliban are not the only ones posing a threat to the population. Akbar just finished building his first home in his native village, a lifelong dream for the unskilled laborer. But now the expansion of a nearby military base threatens his land.
Let me take you upstairs. I will show you the military base and the expansion it's planning. They have already taken part of the agricultural and residential land from some of my neighbors, and now they want my house too. Follow me up, where I will point out what they want.
More than 4,000 soldiers have been stationed in the valley. The army wants to build new homes to house them, and locals are threatened with eviction.
All the houses, everything you see around my house, the army wants it all. They want all the land. They told me, if you do not give us your land, we will forcibly evict you. I've been afraid since they're now threatening me. And if I don't agree, maybe I won't even get the money they're offering. And I don't want to give my home away.
Akbar suspects the army wants to resell his land and make a profit. A local politician wants to help Akbar and has called a meeting with those facing eviction.
The Pakistani army is taking our land. They want more and more of it, but we don't want to give it to them.
Military weapons don't intimidate us. Do not be afraid of the army. They have no right to use their guns on innocent people.
This farmer has filed a case in the court too, but he's not very hopeful.
Unless we are rich, it is impossible to win a case in a Pakistani court. You also have to have a long life and a lot of patience. I hope one day we win our land back, and everyone here being affected by the displacement gets justice.
The politician who recently won the mayoral election has promised to take the case to the federal government, even though it has little say in military affairs.
The army has a reputation for settling in wherever they go and then exploiting local resources. We think the military wants to do the same thing here. People are afraid that the military will start real estate projects by stealing the villagers' homes. We thought that they had come to fight the Taliban and would leave after. But now we feel that they came here to stay.
Caught between the army and the Taliban, residents fight injustices on a daily basis to regain their rights, their identities, and their lives. A fight that women like Humaira Shaukat are increasingly joining. In 2010, she became Swat's first female lawyer.
Which room do you have to go to?
Room number 6.
Things are changing in the Swat Valley, and I decided to be part of that change. Other women have followed me, and we're here to stay. The media helped us raise awareness. Women have access to women lawyers now. Women know that unlike before, men can no longer deny them their rights. This is a big change here.
Under the Taliban regime, women had no rights. They banned female education and forced women to stay indoors. Now, the situation has improved. But for Humaira, the threat remains.
I still get a lot of threats. The Taliban think they can stop me with threats. My father was kidnapped for a month.
Lawyers like Humaira draw inspiration from Tabassum Adnan, a symbol of women's rights in Swat. She's the only one in the country leading a female jirga, where women get together to mediate conflicts between residents, especially women, without involving the courts.
A woman told me that her husband was beating her daughter. I told her to come and see you and that you were going to solve her problem.
Here is the Nelson Mandela Award that I received in 2016. This is the prize for courage that was given to me by the US government in March 2015. Michelle Obama invited me to a White House ceremony with 10 other women. This is another award for human rights given to me by the Dutch government in 2014. I have been nominated twice for the Peace Prize awarded by the United Nations. This jirga is the first step towards creating an equal society here. The women will write their own destiny now.
Freedom for women and the return of tourists are all hopeful signs. But even as the situation normalizes, the valley is far from an absolute peace. Security forces estimate 2,000 terrorists continue to live in areas surrounding Swat, and the threat is never far away.
Taha Siddiqui and Jasmine Lavoie revisiting the Swat Valley for France 24. Well, that's all for this week's edition. Don't forget, of course, you can catch it and all our previous editions as well on our website at france24.com. Thanks for watching. More news coming up just a few moments' time.